Hi, I'm here with front of house staffing and this is your dinner video. I'm going to show you how to set up a dinner table and then we're going to move into dinner service afterwards. So as you can see behind me I have a circular table. This is our 5-foot trestle. It's designed for 8, maybe 10 people. Usually on these events we would use a 6-foot trestle, which is between 10 and 12 people. So I'm going to get my colleague to come and help me now to set this up. Thank you. Now these tables can be quite large, so you want to be able to do this in 2. So what you will do is you will pull the legs out, as so, and make sure that they are locked in place. Both legs need to be locked to make sure that the table doesn't collapse. Then, as a 2, you lift it up and place it down. You want to be sure that the legs on every table in the room are in the same direction. It helps when we're placing seats underneath it that everything is symmetrical and that everything goes in the same order. The next section, we add the tablecloth. Here we have a round black tablecloth that is designed specifically for these types of tables. So again, with my colleague, we're going to open the material up and place it on the table. Now here we have a pleat. It's on the inside of the cloth where it's been stitched together. We have to make sure that that goes on the inside of the table so that it's not visible to the guests. Now as you can see, the line runs right up and down the middle. It is very central, and we will make sure that every table is exactly the same way, so that in the event room all the tables look exactly the same. Please make sure that the tablecloth is equal all the way around the side, whether it's just kissing the floor or just above it, it has to be equal. So here I have a linen napkin. These are the linen napkins that we use for all the table service. I'm going to demonstrate how to do one of the most common and most basic napkin folds that we use in events. So the linen napkin will come generally folded in half and sometimes in quartered. What I want you to do is I want you to open it right up and you're going to fold it on itself in a third. The way to understand how to do a third is this central line now should be equidistant between this line and this line. Then you know that the napkin has been folded in a third. You then take the top part, fold it back on itself. Now you have your napkin folded into a third. You will tip it back on itself, and the same again in this direction. I want you to fold the top up, and the same with the other section. And as you fold up, it creates a nice, neat napkin. So now that I've folded all the napkins, I need 8 for this table setup. We do the napkins first. It's very important because this is what we use for spacing. We have to space out the napkins in the places that people will be sitting so they are all equidistant apart. You start off by placing the first napkin at the head of the table. Now this is usually right on the line that we created earlier. You then move to the other side of the table, place the next napkin. This ensures that all the napkins will be equally spread across the table. And again, across the table to the other side. And the table is starting to take shape. We then place our napkins in the middle, forming a cross. Now by doing it this way, I've spread out my napkins in an equal distance around the table, ensuring that all the guests have a maximum comfort. I've placed the napkins an inch or 2 away from the edge of the table. We don't want them to be sitting on the edge, and we also don't want them to be in the middle of the table. Just enough space to fit the cutlery either side. So, here we have a completed setup. This is generally what one of the managers from our client will set up for you to copy. You will mimic this on every placement around the room. It's very important that you copy everything specifically because the glasses and the cutlery and the napkin will change from event to event. This is a very basic setup, and I'll talk you through it. Here we have our starter fork, our main fork, and our dessert fork. On the other side, mirrored, we have our starter knife, our main knife, and then the dessert spoon. Again, the managers on the event will explain what they want and they will set it up. Sometimes you don't have dessert, the dessert might be canapes of some kind. It depends on the event. With the glasses, again, this is a very general setup. We have our wine glass closest to the knife, next followed by the medium-sized glass, which is usually for red, and then the largest glass at the back for water. The glasses will come in all different shapes and sizes, so please ask if you're not sure which one it is. But you do not want to put someone's red wine in their water glass. You must know at the start of the event. But again, I'll tell you, white wine, red wine, and water. Now on the side here we have the side plate. So on the right hand side of the placing, we have a butter knife placed on top. It's not for every event. Some people have it and some people don't. It is up to the manager and the client that we will be using at that time. So we are now on the final part of table setup. We just have to make sure that the tablecloth is used correctly. Now as you can see, this tablecloth fits the table perfectly. So it has some lovely natural pleats around the edge. If the tablecloth is too large, you will have to zhuzh this by hand to create these plates yourself. But please watch the zhuzhing videos. It's separate to this. And once the table is pleated and it's nice and looking correct, we can then add the chair. Now the chairs usually come in two parts, the chair and the seating pad with Velcro attachments. You put the seating pad onto the chair and push down so that it's nicely attached, and then slide the chair slowly up to the table, just gently kissing the tablecloth so as not to disrupt the pleats. And that there is your final table setup. So here we have the finished article. We have all the table placements set in the right place. We have the cutlery all parallel. We have the napkins in place the way the clients have asked us to fold them. We have the chairs just kissing the cloth and no more. We have the white wine, the red wine and the water glass in the precise position that the client has asked. This is the final result of your table setup. I'm now going to demonstrate snake or wave style service. Depending on which company you work for, they'll use a different word. At this point, I'll be playing the manager. The manager will be standing in the service. He will be standing next to the table that is being served at that time. You'll be coming from the kitchen with your plates and he'll make himself known to you by either raising his hand or a piece of paper. You then come in from the kitchen in a line and serve the table that he tells you to serve, in the position that he tells you. So at this point, I would raise my hand. The waiters would then come, join me. They'll make their way through the table, through the different tables. There will always be tight for space in these events. They place down with their left hand, they move on to the next position and place again with their left hand, before proceeding to the kitchen to pick up their next plate. With this table now complete, every guest has got a plate. The manager will move on to the next table so you can see where he's standing for that service. At this point, I'll be playing the team leader in the team or fan style service. At this point, you will have a team of people, myself being the team leader and yourselves being with me, and you will always be with me throughout the service for starter, main course and dessert. We will go into the kitchen as a team. We will pick up plates in a specific order, with myself always at the front. So just make sure that you always follow your team leader. You will then come into the dining room and approach the table, with the team leader always going to positions 1 and 2. You will then follow on in positions 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and you will always have those numbers to save any confusion during the service. I'll now demonstrate how that's done with my team. So that was team service. We came in a line and we left in a line. When we were there, we waited on the team leader to nod and everybody served at the same time. So everybody got their food at the same time. You then wait for the team leader to nod again, and then you leave the table and head back to the kitchen to pick up your next set of plates for your next table. The team leader will always instruct you as to which table is getting served, so you know what it is that you have to do. This service is very similar to the team service. It's sometimes called the team service. It can also be called wave or bomb service. There's many different names, so you'll just have to get used to them. As you'll see from the next shot, this will be very similar to what we just did, but there are slightly different serving techniques. So, I'm now going to talk about the coffee service. After dinner, after the dessert has been served, we will always do a coffee service. With this, we will usually put petit fours down on the table, and these petit fours are little posh sweets, usually truffles or something like that. You will then serve the table with coffee, usually in pairs. I'm now going to demonstrate how to do that. So now, in your pairs, you will approach your guest and ask them if they'd like some coffee. Excuse me, would you like some coffee, madam? Of course. Milk and sugar? Of course. One of your team will be holding the tray beside you with all the cups, saucer and teaspoons on it. You then pour your coffee, add the milk, and add 2 lumps of sugar with the tongs provided. Take the cup and serve the guest from the right hand side. You will then move on, being sure not to be too obtrusive with your guest while you move on to the next person. So this has been your dinner service. Now just a few points to touch on. You have to make sure that you always serve your food from the left hand side and you're always clear from the right hand side. You're always serving your drinks from the right hand side as well. Whether it's water, wine or coffee, it comes from the right. I will serve in a clockwise way, and I'll always complete the table service before I get a requested item. For example, if someone's requested tea when I'm doing coffee, I'll finish everyone's coffee service and then I will go to the kitchen to collect the tea. This applies for water, wine, champagne, or even the food. If someone requests a vegetarian option, you have to tell your team leader straight away.